Psalm 15, a list of characteristics of uh, what really comes down to a godly, God loving, uh, in our world, I think I could easily say a true Christian person. We've gone through the list, and I talked about last time about role models, and in verse 4, David writes this: the person of this profile despises a vile person, but honors those who fear the Lord. Now, we got I'm a big believer in the idea that role models are a good thing. uh, and we all have them. I don't care how old you are or how young you. Well, I don't think when you're young, very young, you have pretty much one role model. When you're an infant, and that's your primary caregiver, right? You don't have vocabulary yet, so organizing the idea that this person is your role model, that's not there. But as you got older, all of us had somebody that we wanted to be like. And you know this, it's not just a Sunday school answer, but the one who deserves most of all to be that person that I want to be like is Jesus. Well, see, now here's an interesting thing about that in my mind. In Romans 12, Paul writes that God foreknew those he would predestine to become like Jesus. I mean, his program, his idea, the concept is that you and I will become more and more and more like Jesus. We will become like this one that we reverence and honor. And here David says, this is those who fear the Lord. The fear of the Lord. I've talked about it many times in this whole So Care of Stevie Boy thing. And the simplest way in this context to look at it, in my opinion, is to fear the Lord. Those who fear the Lord, well, that's a category of people who take God seriously, and it's not like, well, I take that seriously. No, I mean, he is the fundamental, principle, bedrock truth in all of my understanding and experience. I fear the Lord. I reverence him. I revere him. I honor him. And yes, two big things. I love him and I obey him. So much more that a person could say about the fear of the Lord and those who fear the Lord. But that you get it, I'm pretty sure. Okay. And what David is saying is there's a contrast. The vile person, we despise the vile person. We despise their lifestyle. We despise their choices. We do not want to become like them. And then the other side of that coin is we honor those who fear the Lord. How do we honor those who fear the Lord? I don't think it means we build this statue to them. I don't expect anybody to build a statue to me, okay? Honoring someone who fears the Lord has to do with we esteem them. We value them. And when I'm looking at the world around me and I'm thinking about, okay, we've got per some at times it feels like we have really no high profile people in our world who fear the Lord. The truth is we do have some, probably more than we'll ever know, who fear the Lord, that are high profile individuals from whatever field of endeavor. When David wrote this, there were no movies, there were no professional sports, for Israel anyway. Politics was a monarchy, a theocracy, really. The celebrities? I don't know. Not really. There were still high-profile individuals. David himself was a high-profile individual. He was like all of the people that fit in this category of those who fear the Lord. David was imperfect. He was flawed. And let's be honest, he was deeply flawed. And you don't have to look very far into his biography to find moments of bad choices, not godly decisions. I mean, just Bathsheba. I'm thinking about David here as one who fears the Lord. He did. He wasn't perfect. I mean, he was pretty far from perfect. And yet, he feared the Lord. And his, even today, the majority of his life he represents a great role model. A man who, of great faith, which he had from early in his life. We're pretty sure he was a teenager. Takes 5 stones and a sling into battle against Goliath, the mightiest of the Philistine warriors. A giant, literal giant. And instead of doing some cagey kind of, skirting and dancing, he runs right at the guy, spinning that sling, nails him between the eyes with a stone. Goliath drops like a sack of rocks. David cuts his head off. David then goes on to become a legend in Israeli military history. A strong man, a mighty warrior, and then the king, who expanded the borders of Israel and ruled well, in spite of his flaws. There is no role model that doesn't have flaws. Now, I'm talking about all this role model stuff over and over and over again. Here's why. In our world today, whatever day you're watching this, role models are as important, maybe more important than they've ever been before. because they're in such short supply. And I want to direct, if you're a parent or a grandparent, I want to really direct you to think about your kids and grandkids. Whether you like it or not, you're a role model. And I mean, there's gradation of that, and there's stages, there's all kinds of, scaling involved. And a lot of it has to do with how often are you in the presence of your kids and grandkids. If you're a parent, make it your business to be in their presence a lot. They need you. They need to observe your God-fearing life. They don't need you to preach. Well, no, wait a minute. They kind of do need you to preach. But they need you to preach by your behaviors, not just your words. Because if our behaviors and our words align, our example becomes so powerful to our kids and our grandkids. As a parent, you are a role model for your kids. It's not like you can be. Nope, you are. And either you're a good one or not a good one. Really comes down to that. So how do you become a good role model for your kids? You fear God. You fear the Lord. You honor Christ. You honor God. You reflect His design in the way you make your choices and your decisions with your life. And, by extension, the life of your family. You don't have to explain every decision. Won't do you any good to try to explain every decision anyway. Especially when your kids are young. They can't connect the dots on your motive and rationale for the decisions you made. Don't expect them to. It's not fair to the kid. Sometimes I agree with John Rosemond. Sometimes when your kids are young, the best answer really is because I said so. Okay. That's a hobby horse. I can ride that horse a long way. And I think the church, Christians in the world today who are parents, have got to step up to this challenge. Don't relinquish the struggle and the responsibility to somebody else, not to the school and not to your youth minister. Choose those who will join you in shaping the lives of your kids. And okay, on and on he goes. How do you honor these people? One big way is to speak respectfully of these people. I enjoy sports, and when I'm with my grandkids, more than my kids, I know I've sought out men and women in athletics, in sport, who are living a Christian life. And when they are in the game, on the screen, I point them out. And I talk respectfully about them, admiringly about them. You honor those who fear the Lord. And your kids are going to pick up on that. Well, that's enough. I'll shut it down today and see you next time on So Care with Stevie Boy.